Before we get into the video, could everyone please subscribe to my Endless Diary Tales channel? Thank you so much. My mother-in-law looked down on me for my family's cow farming business. Not only did she demand a prenuptial agreement, but she also declared that all postmarital expenses must be split evenly, absolutely forbidding her son from doing charity. Honestly, my son is truly outstanding, but a wild pheasant is no match for a phoenix. The plump, middle-aged woman glanced at me, her arrogant demeanor causing my eyelid to twitch. Your situation with Kevin, I know about it. I heard your parents passed away a few years ago, right? Isn't your family just running a cow farm in the countryside? I thought for a moment about the long, winding name of my village, then nodded silently. The woman raised her chin higher. Our family's background, you probably know it already. Kevin and I, his father, we are both state cadres. Later, our pensions each month are also several thousand. Both husband and wife have government jobs. Anyone who hears it would be envious to the point of green eyes. Look at Kevin's appearance and character. In our family, countless rich young ladies are crying and begging to marry him, but he just wouldn't. Who told my son to be so unaspiring, insisting on marrying you? I couldn't stop him, but if you want to step into the Chin family's door, you must agree to a few conditions. Just then, Kevin came out of the kitchen carrying a bowl of pomegranate seeds. Each seed meticulously peeled and arranged, ruby red and glittering, filling a pristine white porcelain bowl. It was a very eye-catching sight. Mom, you just sit and chat with Summer. Let me go peel some more grapefruit for her, Kevin said with a happy smile as he turned back into the kitchen. I could only sigh inwardly. Aunt, what other requirements do you have? Just tell me. I only have 3 requirements. First, you two must sign a notarized prenuptial agreement. Our family has already bought a 158 square meter apartment in downtown city for Kevin. The down payment alone was over 1 million yuan. This is our life savings. We can't let outsiders benefit. Just one apartment. I nodded, signaling her to continue. Second, after marriage, you two must split all expenses evenly. I frowned. Married and still splitting money? What's the point of getting married? This isn't very reasonable. Kevin's mother immediately became unhappy, her eyes widening, her neck craning. Harsh words shot out from her thin lips like bullets. How much money does my Kevin earn a month? How much do you earn? I heard you also have an older brother, and he has 3 children. Are you planning to take Kevin's hard-earned money back to your maiden home to support them? I've already calculated it. Kevin's salary is over 20,000 a month. After paying off the mortgage, he'll still have 17,000 left each month. Kevin told me your family raises cows. I don't know how much you earn from raising cows, but don't even think about touching my son's money. This money I have to save for my grandson to marry a wife later. I opened my mouth to say something but suddenly remembered my brother's village. La and yacht and all the real estate properties I couldn't even count. Okay, splitting expenses, it is later. I'll give Kevin some extra pocket money, is that what you said? See me agree. Kevin's mother's eyes lit up, taking another step forward. You two must also sign an agreement that whoever earns the money keeps it. It's not considered joint property of husband and wife in case you can't live together later. Kevin's money must be kept by him. This isn't legal according to the marriage law. Hearing this, she immediately flew into a rage, slapping her thigh hard, then leaning close to me, her saliva almost spraying onto my face. How much can you earn from raising cows each month? My son studied for so many years, worked hard to get a good job, not to do charity for your family. To be honest, I really didn't know how much I earned each month because my family had professional financial managers handling it. If Kevin's mother insisted on being so clear-cut, then I would follow her wishes. 2 sums of money delivered to my door, and people didn't even want them. And the third condition, I only have 1 son. After marriage, I must live with him. Thinking of my spacious mansion with dozens of empty bedrooms, this time I didn't hesitate and nodded immediately. What's so happy? Kevin came out with a plate of peeled grapefruit. He walked to my side, intimately ruffling my hair. We are discussing marriage conditions with your mom. Kevin's mother was startled, seeming not to expect me to be so straightforward. Your mom said she wants to make a prenuptial agreement, and after marriage, expenses must be split evenly. Whoever earns the money spends it, no joint accounts. As soon as the words fell, Kevin's face changed instantly. He looked at his mother, his face serious. Mom, he was also unhappy. I've already made a concession. These conditions are my bottom line, and your girlfriend just agreed to them. What face are you pulling? Kevin's mother glanced at her son, full of hidden meaning. I hope you don't regret it later. Mom, Kevin knew my family situation clearly, but now I realized he hadn't told his family anything. To break the awkward atmosphere, I proactively took out the gifts I brought. Aunt, this is ginseng and chrysanthemum sinensis I brought for you and Uncle to nourish your health. Kevin's mother opened the exquisite gift box, immediately covering her mouth and exclaiming, "Oh my God, fake ginseng made to look so real." I stared blankly at her exaggerated expression. Aunt, this is wild mountain ginseng. Haha, dying of laughter. Where did you buy it from? A tourist area? Jining, with the shape and quality, if it's real, several 100,000 wouldn't even buy it. Indeed, this was bought by my brother for over 5 million, and I had deliberately chosen the best one as a gift for Kevin's family. Unexpectedly, his mother was this kind of person. Summer, put it away. Your uncle and I are still young, temporarily don't need these things. Kevin patted my hand, slightly smiling and meaningfully glancing at his mother. She immediately nodded repeatedly. That's right, that's right. Don't eat it if there's a problem. Who knows? It's cheap. Good spot from where? Really embarrassing. I silently put the gifts back into my bag. Okay, Aunt is older. Whatever Aunt says is right. The three were silent when the doorbell rang. Kevin's mother's eyes lit up immediately as she jumped up from the sofa. Who is it? Let me open the door. It's Cherry. Cherry, you're here. That's great. What are you bringing gifts for? Oh my God, Cherry, this is expensive. It must be 200 for a box, right? People who go abroad are different, so generous. Looks luxurious at first glance. Kevin's mother held the young girl's hand, her attitude as warm as a spring breeze, completely different from the cold arrogance she had for me. Cherry, come. Let Aunt introduce everyone to each other. This is Cherry Yang, the daughter of Boss Yang. She and Kevin grew up together as childhood sweethearts. We used to joke about arranging a marriage for them. The girl in front of me was tall and slender with fair skin. Her features weren't particularly outstanding, but she dressed quite fashionably, had a well-proportioned figure, and possessed a certain beauty. I quietly glanced at Kevin. The girl saw Kevin, her eyes lighting up quickly, and a coquettish voice rang in my ears. Kevin, brother, you're home. Why didn't you come find me? Kevin, hearing this, took my hand and smiled casually. Indeed, I should have come to find you. I was just thinking of introducing Summer to everyone. This is Cherry Yang, my high school classmate. And this is my wife, Summer. The word wife was like a sharp knife piercing deeply into Cherry and Kevin's mother. Both of them said in unison, "You're not married yet." I pursed my lips, glancing meaningfully at Kevin. Kevin wiped his sweat, giving me a look of help. Childhood sweetheart plus a mother wholeheartedly leaning towards the childhood sweetheart. I wanted to see how he would explain. After Cherry arrived, Kevin's mother immediately abandoned me, putting fruit snacks and hot tea in front of Cherry. So enthusiastic and attentive, one would think Cherry was the girlfriend visiting for the first time. I sat beside Kevin, expressionless, pinching the flesh inside his arm and twisting it. Cherry held a glass of tea, taking a small sip, then glanced at my bag on the sofa. This bag, is it fake? Fake bag. Kevin's mother shouted, her voice high-pitched, letting out a surprised gasp. She widened her eyes to look at me, covering her mouth with her hand, looking as if she had just seen something unbelievable. Summer, why are you buying fake bags? Young girls shouldn't be so vain. If you can't afford the real thing, you don't have to buy fake ones. Things like luxury brands, if you don't have the means, don't buy them. Summer, tell me, how much do you earn a month carrying a designer bag? Who would believe it? Kevin's mother continued to advise me earnestly, not to be vain, to live thriftily, to know how to manage a family and to become a good wife. Listening to this, I just wanted to roll my eyes non-stop. Even for Kevin's sake, I felt I couldn't tolerate it anymore. Kevin, seeing my face change, knew things were going wrong. He tightly grasped my hand, trying to interrupt his mother while she was still spewing unpleasant words. Mom, let's eat. Thinking of Kevin's gentle care for me, I sighed inwardly. Okay, for his sake, I'd bear with it a little. The dishes were cooked by Kevin's father. The craftsmanship was not bad, full of Jangon family cuisine flavor. I just picked up my chopsticks to eat when Kevin's mother started talking again. Summer, can you cook? I shook my head. She immediately changed her face. You can't cook? Then in the future 3 meals a day, what will you do? Don't tell me you'll order takeout for every meal. I was just about to say my family had housekeepers when Kevin interjected in time. His face serious. Mom, you can't cook either. Besides, I like to cook. One family only needs one person who knows how to cook. Cherry immediately looked at Kevin with admiring eyes. So envious of you, Summer, to find such a good boyfriend like Kevin, unlike me, still single. Kevin's mother, hearing this, immediately picked up a piece of braised pork belly for Cherry, her eyes full of regret. Isn't it because you're too naive, unlike those other girls who know how to use tricks to seduce men? Really too straightforward. My patience was almost exhausted. Kevin, seeing my face change, worriedly spoke up quickly before I could open my mouth. Cherry, didn't you get pregnant in high school? Where's your first love? Why aren't you together anymore? The whole space fell deathly silent. Cherry looked around, then covered her face and burst into tears. Kevin, brother, why do you misunderstand me like this? Boo-hoo. I am an innocent girl. Why do you listen to others fabricate stories about me? As for my first love, the hospital bill when I was hospitalized, it was him who borrowed $3,000 from you and hasn't paid it back yet. Your cousin is a nurse. It was she who arranged the room for me. Don't you remember? Cherry's face instantly turned pale, her lips trembling for a long time before she could murmur like a mosquito. I'm not feeling well. I'll go first. After speaking, she stood up and left, even kicking over a chair. But she didn't look back, walking quickly as if dogs were chasing after her. I looked at the stunned faces of Kevin's parents, suddenly finding my appetite returning. I picked up a piece of braised abalone and put it in my bowl. Indeed, Kevin's father's cooking skills were quite good. The abalone was soft, chewy, and delicious. Taking a bite, the fragrance filled my mouth. Kevin's mother, unhappy, slammed her chopsticks on the table, glaring angrily at Kevin. Kevin, why are you so rude? Kevin was also not to be outdone, replying seriously. Isn't it what I learned from you, Mom? I'm just speaking directly. Mom, don't take it to heart. I chewed the abalone in my mouth, interestedly watching Kevin and his mom. The fight, as expected. All problems between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law ultimately stemmed from the problems between husband and wife. As long as you had a husband who always stood by your side, you wouldn't need to argue with your mother-in-law because he would help you do it. Kevin's mother was so angry she was panting, but she didn't dare scold him in front of everyone. She turned her head to me, who was eating heartily, and glared. Summer, what we just discussed still counts, right? After eating, go and notarize the prenuptial agreement with Kevin. These things, it's better to write them clearly in black and white. I wiped my mouth and nodded. Okay, what I promised I will definitely do. I just hope that by then, Aunt won't go back on her word. Go back on my word? Haha, Summer, eat more. In the future, if you and Kevin split expenses, you probably won't be able to eat such delicious food anymore. Kevin's mother sneered. Then picked up a piece of abalone and braised beef for me. Indeed, these simple home-cooked dishes were not easy to come by. But whether they were cheap or expensive dishes, I still didn't want to waste them. Seeing me focusing on eating, the contemptuous look on her face became even more obvious. About the wedding ceremony, Kevin had already discussed it with me. According to our custom, we must have a son before we can hold a wedding. Kevin angrily stood up abruptly. Mom, what nonsense are you talking about? Since when does our family have that custom? Shut up. His mother rolled her eyes. Nowadays, young girls are all very open-minded. Who knows what their private life was like before? Urchin family doesn't accept hens that can't lay eggs. I nodded. Aunt is right. Like Cherry Young just now, definitely not okay, too open-minded. As for the wedding ceremony, our family can hold it first. Oh heavens, but let me make it clear. If the wedding is held in some countryside, I won't go. Your countryside probably still has outdoor toilets, right? That's terrible. If you want to do it, go ahead and do it yourselves, but after registering the marriage, Kevin must come back to live with us. I tried my best to restrain the anger in my heart, not letting myself glare at her right then and there. After eating, Kevin's mother immediately urged us to go to the notary office, even hiring a lawyer, really making a show of it. After signing the agreement, Kevin and I returned to my hometown. My brother had prepared a grand wedding for us. His parents didn't attend, and I didn't feel regretful either. Not having to see those eyesores, I even felt happier. After the wedding, upon returning to the city, Kevin and I planned to move into our new home. After getting to know each other, I had also bought a villa in the same neighborhood as his apartment. On moving day, Kevin's mother was even more enthusiastic than us. Let me say this first. The down payment for this house was paid by me. The master bedroom must be for me. Kevin and I exchanged glances, neither of us saying anything. The house we were moving into was my villa, but both of us tacitly understood not to mention it. The car quickly arrived at the residential district and stopped in front of the largest villa. Oh heavens, this villa! I heard the interior decoration alone cost over 10 million. I got out of the car, standing in front of the villa. The house was decorated in the French style I liked most. Seeing me walking along the steps towards the front door, Kevin's mother immediately changed her face. Be careful. If you scratch the door or damage the plants here, selling you off wouldn't be enough to compensate. Did you see the Podocarpus macrophyllus tree in front of the door? That tree alone is over 1 million. Don't look anymore. These things are not something you can dream of having. You have to look at yourself to see if you have that fate or not. I sighed, took out the key, and inserted it into the villa door lock. Aunt, has anyone ever told you that you are really very noisy? Summer, what are you doing? Don't touch other people's front doors. The rest of her words were choked in her throat as Kevin's mother watched in stunned disbelief as I pushed open the villa's large gate. She stood rooted to the spot as if struck by lightning. His father wasn't much better, standing beside her, eyes wide, mouth agape, clearly deeply shocked. This is the house I bought. The bedroom for you two is on the second floor, facing south, I said, walking inside, but waited for a long time, still not seeing anyone follow. Ahem, where are you? Looking back, I saw them still standing frozen at the door. Why aren't you coming in? What are you doing standing there? Slap. Kevin's mother slapped her thigh hard. Oh heavens, Summer, are you a housekeeper here? I shook my head helplessly, tossing the keys into the air and catching them again. The housekeeper and chef will come this afternoon. Is this really your house? Kevin's mother hugged her chest, daring not to believe it, looking at me. Didn't you say your family runs a cow farm? Selling cows can buy this villa? Is that cow made of gold? Didn't he tell you too? My family has 100,000 cows. Kevin's mother gasped, turning to nudge Kevin's father, who was standing blankly beside her. One cow is worth tens of thousands. 100,000 cows? That's how much? Oh heavens. Kevin's mother finally recovered, immediately squeezing in beside me, taking my arm, smiling like a blooming flower in spring. Oh Summer, from the first time I met you, I knew you were no ordinary person. Look at this face, this demeanor. How could an ordinary family raise someone like you? My son really has an eye for talent, marrying a daughter-in-law like you. I gently withdrew my hand, faintly smiling politely. Aunt is too kind. Kevin's mother again slapped my arm hard. What aunt? You should call me Mom. I took a step back, maintaining a distance. We haven't had a wedding ceremony yet. How can I casually call you that? Finishing speaking, I pulled Kevin upstairs, leaving his parents standing awkwardly downstairs as if discovering a new world. After tidying up the bedroom, although there wasn't much to tidy up because everything was already prepared and clean, I mainly just wanted to escape his mother. You must not be soft-hearted. Kevin looked at me seriously. Now I finally understand clearly. My mom just needs a little light and she'll be radiant. You must do exactly as our prenuptial agreement stipulates. If not, if she knows you're this rich, relatives will flock here to show off non-stop. We'll be miserable. My husband was really filial. The two of us cuddled intimately upstairs for a while, then went downstairs, discovering Kevin's mother, just as he said. She was making phone calls, frantically inviting everyone to come and play. Sister-in-law, yes, Kevin. Remember to bring the whole family to play. Come to our house for dinner. It's not tiring at all. There's a housekeeper and a chef too. The chef cooks very well. I looked at her, unable to help but laugh. It was really interesting. She seemed to have forgotten this house had nothing to do with her family. Seeing me come down, Kevin's mother happily walked over. Oh, Summer. Moving to a new house is a big deal. We have a custom of inviting guests to hold a party. By then we must invite everyone to warm up the house. Gather a crowd. Only then is there good fortune. Sorry, my place doesn't have that custom. Kevin's mother was about to say something more when the housekeepers arrived. Aunt Lou and Aunt Chin were responsible for cleaning the house, while Aunt Jang was in charge of cooking. All of them were people who had worked for me for many years. Seeing the three housekeepers just walk in, Kevin's mother immediately raised her head high. Work hard in the future. We won't mistreat you, but don't be cunning or lazy. Your hands and feet must be clean. Don't think we are easy to deal with and slack off. The salt I eat is more than the rice you eat. Don't even think about fooling me. Aunt Lou, just your work, I said. The three housekeepers looked at each other blankly because before, I had instructed them clearly that they only needed to take care of my and Kevin's lives. His parents' room? Let them clean it themselves. Kevin's mother triumphantly waved her hand. Okay, all of you retreat. In the future you must have eyes, be sensible and work hard. To welcome the first day of moving in, I told Aunt Jang to prepare a lot of ingredients. Australian lobster, king crab, black abalone, grouper, East Star grouper, Wagyu beef, and all kinds of seafood filling the table. Kevin's mother devoured it. While eating, she kept commenting, "This fish is overcooked. The crab is okay, quite fresh. Buy one more next time. This beef is too fatty. Eating it is greasy. I don't like it. Don't buy it next time." After eating, Aunt Lou brought up a plate of washed fruit. I took a sip of tea, then cleared my throat. Aunt Kevin, let's settle the bill. Kevin's mother, who was stuffing 2 grapes into her mouth, looked at me blankly. Bill? What bill? Aunt is really forgetful. We already signed a prenuptial agreement. Nuptial agreement, right? About living expenses, we split it evenly. Aunt didn't forget, did you? Just now, dinner in total cost over 10,000. I'll ignore the odd change, calculated as 10,000. Dinner had 4 people. Your family of 3 pays 7,500. Transfer now or keep a tab. Summer, we can calculate it together at the end of the month. Kevin said awkwardly. What, you're robbing money? Kevin's mother jumped up from the sofa, angrily glaring at me. Is there such a daughter-in-law in this world, buying food for parents-in-law and still asking for money? The petty to parents-in-law is a matter of course. Mom, we haven't had the wedding ceremony yet. The betrothal gifts haven't been given. Although legally we are married, according to customs we are not yet. Moreover, Mom, you signed the agreement. I don't want to be said to be freeloading. Mom, don't worry, I can support my parents, Kevin gently advised. But the more his mother listened, the paler her face became. Really, we have to split it evenly? One meal spending a month's salary of our family? Oh heavens, this is wanting to take our lives. What are you saying? No one is forcing Aunt to eat. I didn't hold a knife to Aunt's neck to force you to eat. Look, on the north side there's a small kitchen. Aunt can use that kitchen. If your family is willing to pay, you can eat with me. If not, everyone eats separately. I'll also concede a little. Gas, electricity, and water bills won't be counted for Aunt. What? Even gas, electricity, and water bills too? Kevin's mother said, sounding ridiculous. My money, is it blown in by the wind? You live here, you have to pay. Split evenly, wasn't that what Aunt herself said? The agreement is written in black and white. If you don't want to pay, that's fine. Aunt can go back to her own home. I remember your apartment is in a high-rise nearby. Walking there is only 10 minutes. No, I must live in the villa. Kevin's mother greedily looked around the luxurious villa. The room I prepared for them was a super suite with a dressing room, bathroom, living room, and a private garden-facing balcony. The bedroom area alone was almost as big as their old house. Living conditions like this, charging them 10,000 rent a month wasn't too much, right? Hearing that they could continue to stay here, Kevin's father clearly breathed a sigh of relief. Having a villa to live in, who would want to go back to a small apartment? Okay, and the fruit I just ate, 300 yuan worth of fruit. Kevin, keep a tab, calculate at the end of the month. 300 yuan for grapes? Your grapes are made of gold. They must be imported Muscat grapes. 300 yuan a caddy. Aunt Zhang bought 2 caddies in total, and ate half of it, I said. Kevin's mother hugged her chest, collapsing onto the sofa. Oh heavens, having money and still not spending it extravagantly. This isn't eating fruit. This is eating money. No, you can't be so wasteful. This money is for my grandson later. You can't spend it recklessly. Aunt is managing a bit too much, isn't she? The money I earn, I want to spend it. It's my business, Aunt. You're not used to living here, then go back to your own home. Seeing Kevin's mother's unsightly face finally, his mother unwillingly fell silent. Clearly, nothing could make her leave this villa. The next morning, when I was still fast asleep, loud noises downstairs woke me up. Men, women, and children were crying and shouting, making me think I was at a market. I changed clothes and went downstairs, seeing a crowd of men, women, old and young. A little boy in a blue shirt and sneakers was jumping on my sofa. The pure white imported cashmere carpet was now full of black footprints, and the cream-colored sofa was also covered in dark handprints of children. Aunt Lu and Aunt Chin were standing to one side, advising, but the noise in the house was too loud, so their words were useless. What's all the noise? Still making noise and disturbing people? I'll tell my son to fire all of you. Now, Kevin's mother frowned unhappily, scolding the 2 housekeepers as if their actions were making her lose face. Still standing there? Don't you see guests have arrived? Quickly bring out fruit. I walked in, my voice calm. Aunt Lu, Aunt Chin, go get it. Remember to choose the most expensive kind. Anyway, it's all charged to Kevin's account. My appearance made everyone fall silent. All of them stood frozen, as if acupunctured, staring at me. I folded my arms across my chest, looking at the little boy still standing on the sofa. Frowning? Get down. A middle-aged woman standing next to him, presumably the boy's grandmother, glared at me. Are you the daughter-in-law of this family? Why are you so impolite? In our countryside, meeting a mother-in-law like this would have gotten you slapped already. I curled my lips into a faint smile. Ah, this sofa your grandson is jumping on costs 680,000 yuan. If it's damaged, remember to compensate. Gasps of breath immediately sounded in the living room. The boy's grandmother immediately pulled him off the sofa. At this time, Kevin, still sleepy, walked down the stairs. Seeing the crowd downstairs, he was blank. Grandma, Grandpa, why are you all here? I turned to his mother, smiling non-committally. Ah, Aunt, do you still remember our agreement? Do you need me to publicly remind you again? Kevin's mother angrily interjected. Kevin, how did you find such a wife? Already registered the marriage and still not changing the way she addresses us? No rules at all. Oh, Grandma, why are you glaring at my wife? It's my mom who doesn't accept this daughter-in-law. No wedding ceremony, no rituals. People don't even count as being married. And this house is Summer's premarital property. It has nothing to do with our family. I also don't understand why Mom brought people here without permission. Kevin's mother's face flushed red. She choked, looking at him. How can't I? Moving to a new house, can't I invite your grandma and grandpa over to play? Such a beautiful villa. Letting family members admire it a little, so what? I faintly smiled, not being polite at all. Aunt, you're really funny. If you want to take people in a tour, then take them to your own home for a tour. Why take them to my house for a tour? Does this house have anything to do with the Chin family? Auntie, Kevin sighed, walking to his grandmother's side. Grandma, Grandpa, let's go. My mom led you the wrong way. The house they bought is the high-rise apartment behind this villa. Summer's own purchase has nothing to do with our family. Kevin's mother angrily led the crowd of relatives out of the house. I looked at the dirty carpet in frustration. It seemed in the future I had to be careful not to let strangers into the house. Kevin took my hand, his face full of guilt. Sorry, Summer, I troubled you again. I'll talk to Mom. Clearly, this kind of thing won't happen again. Go eat breakfast first. Let me take the carpet to the dry cleaners. The dry cleaning fee I'll deduct from my salary. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry, patting his hand lightly. How much is your salary? Still talking about deducting it from your salary? I only scared your parents. I'm not really going to calculate it. Kevin immediately became serious, his sword-like eyebrows slightly furrowed, his handsome face becoming extremely serious. I have to calculate it and have to demand more money. If you don't calculate it clearly later, even your bird's nest will be taken away by my mom to give away to others. Not just those things, even the decorations in the house, your cosmetics, clothes, bags won't be kept. Kevin pulled me closer, advising like someone in distress. You don't know my mom. Her grandparents in the countryside only gave birth to 4 daughters without a son, so people in the village all looked down on them. My mom had to struggle hard to finish college. After being assigned a job she really liked, she went back to the village to show off. Before, she didn't like you also because she thought your family background was not good. My mom is someone who values face above all else. As long as she can save face, she'll do anything. As expected of my mother's precious son. I ruffled Kevin's hair. This was also the reason I had always tolerated his mother. Before long, Kevin's phone rang. I glanced at the screen. It was his mother calling. He didn't put it on speaker, but looking at his face, I knew it definitely wasn't anything good. After hanging up, he forced a smile. Summer, my mom asked if tonight Grandma and Grandpa can come to our house for dinner. The dishes just cook like yesterday. The money to buy ingredients my mom will pay. His mom is really going all out. I really had to admire Kevin's mother. Although their couple had stable jobs, their actual income after deducting social insurance and other expenses wasn't high. Probably only over $100,000 a year. Yet she dared to spend $10,000 to invite family over for dinner. Really unexpectedly willing to spend money. If she wanted to play the role of a heroic and generous person, then I had no reason to stop her. At dinner time, Kevin's mother indeed led a group of people back. This time everyone was clearly much more well-behaved, even the little boy didn't run around anymore. The whole group exclaimed endlessly while admiring the interior decoration and furnishings of the villa, just short of reaching out to touch them. I coughed lightly. Kevin's mother immediately put on a warm smile. Daughter-in-law, let's eat at the dining table. When Kevin's mother proudly talked about the value of each dish, indeed it made the whole group marvel. Oh heavens! Eating like this is no different from eating gold. Sister CH, normally you eat 3 meals like this? Summer living this kind of life, I wouldn't even dare to dream of it. I have to say, among our 4 sisters, you are the most outstanding. Good job marrying a good husband. Even the daughter-in-law is so capable. Kevin's mother smiled broadly, constantly encouraging everyone to eat more. Clearly, she was very much enjoying this praise. After eating, Kevin's mother indeed packed some fruit and ingredients to take back. Her movements were extremely natural and decisive, as if she was going to take the whole house. For others, of course, she also reaped a lot. The admiring eyes of her relatives made her gait unconsciously straighter. Dinner was eaten, things were taken, and guests were sent away. Unexpectedly, Kevin's mother refused to pay. They are all elders of Kevin. As children, inviting them for a meal is something we should do. I retracted my previous thoughts, initially thinking she was generous. Unexpectedly, she wanted to show off using other people's money. Okay, this amount I'll record in Kevin's account at the end of the month. Let him pay. Kevin's mother nodded, clearly thinking I would never actually ask Kevin to pay. But my money wasn't for just anyone to spend. To prevent his mother from freely entering my room, I directly installed a door at the staircase leading to the 3rd floor, requiring facial recognition to enter. Aunt Jong reflected that the tonics in the kitchen had been missing a lot. Bird's nest, shark fin, all showed signs of being touched. Therefore, I decided to install a fingerprint lock on the kitchen as well. This time, Kevin's mother was not happy at all. She directly came to find me, demanding I return the wild ginseng I had gifted her last time. Last time you gave Mom that wild ginseng, Mom searched the whole house and couldn't find it. Did you accidentally take it back? I sneered. I couldn't help but admire her thick skin. Aunt, you're still young and already forgetful. That wild ginseng, it was you who said you didn't need it. You also said at a glance it was fake goods. Oh dear, Mom was just kidding. But look, what's the point of coming to someone's house to give gifts and then asking for them back? Really, people who don't know shame are invincible. I really had no patience to haggle with her. I'm warning you, Aunt, for the last time. My house is equipped with cameras. If you touch my things again, Next time I will directly call the police. You. Kevin's mother's face flushed red, her fingers trembling, pointing at me. A long time, but in the end she couldn't say anything. Perhaps she was really afraid of being driven out of this villa. Recently, Kevin's company received a major project, so he went to work early and came home late every day, working overtime until 10 p.m. Taking this opportunity, I thoroughly implemented the principle of independent spending. In the morning, I ate Cantonese breakfast while his parents ate noodles. At noon I ate seafood, they still ate noodles. At night I ate steak, they continued to eat noodles. Kevin's mother ate while sighing. All the life savings of your uncle and I were spent buying an apartment for Kevin. Our whole life of thrift, the best things were all saved for our son. But now, looking back, relying on children is also useless. We have to live a hard life eating noodles every day. People said raising children is to rely on them in old age, but now looking back, relying on children is also useless. I continued to cut my steak. Did she think that by doing this I would soften my heart? With their income level, life, although not rich, was much better than ordinary people. Seeing me not saying anything, Kevin's mother flew into a rage, slamming the dishes and bowls, clanging. This set of bone china dishes costs over 8,000 yuan. If you're not used to using them, breaking them is fine. Just let your son compensate. His mother raised the bowl but didn't have enough courage to throw it down. After hesitating for a moment, she finally put the bowl heavily on the table. I didn't bother to raise my head, continuing to eat my steak. She rolled her eyes, not knowing what she was scheming again. After eating, I returned to the study and turned on the computer. The screen showed an enlarged view of the living room. The high-quality camera not only recorded video, but also recorded audio very clearly. At this time, Aunt Zhang had finished cleaning the kitchen and gone upstairs to rest. Aunt Chin and Aunt Lu had also returned to their rooms after finishing work. Only Kevin's mother was left in the living room. I saw her take out her phone and call Cherry, asking her to come over to play, saying that Kevin was drunk and no one was taking care of him. Kevin's father looked at her in surprise. "What are you doing calling Cherry here? What are you planning? This is your daughter-in-law's house." "What daughter-in-law? What daughter-in-law? Has she ever called you dad?" Once, Kevin's mother glared at him, gritting her teeth. "Do you know why that Summer dares to be so arrogant? Isn't it because our son is always siding with her? Every day wait until I call Cherry here. If our son likes Cherry, I don't believe she can still side with this vixen." Kevin's father looked at her in shock, nearly crazy. "You're planning to break them up? Is there any mother who would find a mistress for her son? Really too much. If the daughter-in-law finds out, our whole family of 3 will be driven out. Saying you're stupid is really stupid. Did you forget the neighbors? Mrs. Jan opposite, how Aro? She used to be later. Mr. Jiang had an affair outside. In order to win back her husband, she had to lose weight, cook delicious food, and even got eyelid surgery. Don't you remember?" Kevin's mother rolled her eyes, full of contempt. "Women can't be spoiled too much. That Summer being arrogant, it's all thanks to whom? All thanks to our son propping her up. Wait until she finds out our son and Cherry are close. She won't panic. It's strange. She'll definitely have to eat humble pie with us." Kevin's father was clearly persuaded. He frowned, sitting on the sofa, silent for a long time, then sighed. "Women, you are really full of schemes. Okay, this matter has nothing to do with me. I'll pretend I didn't see anything. I'm going upstairs now." I held my cup of hot milk standing to one side, watching and enjoying it immensely. I really had to thank them for staging such a good show for me late at night. In less than 30 minutes, Cherry appeared, meticulously made up, wearing a strapless black dress, not even minding the cold weather. As expected, bad people always come in pairs. I really didn't understand what Cherry was thinking, coming to someone else's house so late, dressed like this, treating me as invisible. "Cherry, Aunt has watched you grow up since you were a child. Now Aunt will speak frankly. Aunt understands your feelings for Kevin all these years. That Summer, Aunt doesn't accept her. In Aunt's heart, you are the only daughter-in-law." Cherry forced a smile. "Aunt, it's too late to talk about this now. Kevin's brother is already married." "Married? So what? Now the divorce rate is so high, don't you know? They don't have children yet. To tell you the truth, Kevin has long regretted it. Today he had a company party. His wife didn't even care about him. Tonight he'll definitely come back drunk. He'll definitely need you to take care of him. Cherry's face flushed red, flustered for a long time before murmuring, "Is it convenient here?" Kevin's mother immediately nodded, as if suddenly understanding. "Indeed, it's not convenient here. Wait until he comes back. We'll take him to another apartment of Aunt's. Walking there is only 10 minutes. Just as she finished speaking, Kevin staggered back, looking clearly drunk, wearing a well-fitting suit, but the shirt inside was pulled askew, revealing his white collarbone. Plus, his hazy eyes had the tails red-rimmed. At this time, Kevin was just like a goblin in ancient stories, specially descended to earth to bewitch women. Cherry was clearly bewitched, standing blankly, her face slowly reddening. Kevin's mother, seeing this, was overjoyed. She stepped forward to support Kevin's arm. "Kevin, you drank too much. Your wife is a neat freak. Coming back with such a strong smell of alcohol wouldn't be good. How about going to that apartment to sleep for one night? Let Mom get a blanket for you. Cherry, you help Aunt take care of him a bit. Mom will be right back." Finishing speaking, she pushed Cherry into Kevin's arms, then hurriedly ran off. "Brother, are you okay?" Cherry stepped forward, hugging his waist and looking up at his face, both infatuated and greedy. I tightened my grip on my milk cup, the fire of anger in my heart blazing. "Good for you, Kevin," daring not to immediately push her away. "A week from now is your first death anniversary. You really are slow to react, Kevin." Kevin was stunned for a long time before suddenly waking up, forcefully pushing Cherry away. The big shock made him sober up a little. "What the hell? What are you doing? Why are you here? Who let you come here? Where's my wife?" Saying 5 sentences, and only in the last sentence did he remember me. Cherry lowered her head, looking aggrieved. "It's Aunt who told me to come take care of you. Your wife doesn't care about you at all. She's probably already fast asleep. My mom told you to come?" I felt she was crazy. Kevin ignored Cherry, angrily rushing upstairs. Cherry stood there awkwardly in a dilemma. I finished my milk and stood up, knowing tonight wouldn't end easily. Kevin frantically rushed to his parents' room door, banging on the door nonstop. As soon as his mother opened the door, he stormed in. "All of you get out. Get out of here immediately. Kevin, what's wrong with you in the middle of the night? What are you going crazy about?" Kevin didn't bother to answer, starting to rummage through the wardrobe. I hurriedly ran over, pulling his arm. "All right, what is it? Let's talk about it tomorrow." Seeing me, he was extremely aggrieved, hugging me tightly. "Wife, I'm so angry. No, this matter must not be let go." Under Kevin's rage, his parents had to put on their pajamas, grab blankets, and wear slippers as they were driven back to their small apartment. Cherry, of course, was also driven away together. The 3 stood at the door in the cold wind, banging on the door for half a day. Kevin couldn't stand it anymore, pulled open the door and shouted, "If Mom doesn't want to sever the mother-son relationship with me, then go back to your own home and live in the future. Don't come here again. How could I give birth to such an unfilial son like you? Just think that way, but this house you absolutely cannot live in anymore." Boom! Kevin forcefully slammed the door shut, then pulled me upstairs without looking back. Back in the room, I opened the video I just recorded for him to watch, hearing his own mother say she wanted him to be with Cherry. Kevin was so angry he was almost going crazy. Kevin's eyes were bloodshot. Ignoring my obstruction, he started to pack up his parents' room that very night. Then he drove and took all the belongings to put outside their own apartment door. The next morning, indeed, Kevin's parents came to knock on the door and cry. I didn't know what Kevin had said to them. In the end, the 2 had to leave in embarrassment. After that, they tried to come back again but were all coldly rejected by Kevin. He issued an ultimatum. If they still wanted to recognize him as their son, then they had to live separately. If they still wanted to move in here, we would sell the house and move to another city so they couldn't find us anymore. Under Kevin's decisiveness, his parents very quickly became well-behaved, no longer doing strange things. They were afraid that the son they had painstakingly raised would not care about them when they were old. "Honey, you will never have to worry about mother-in-law and daughter-in-law relationships. That's something I have to solve. I didn't do well before, but from now on it will be different. And this is my salary card. There's over 200,000 in it. all given to you as considerate compensation for my parents." Kevin hugged my waist from behind, resting his head on my shoulder. I patted his hand. Although he didn't earn much money, he was a good person, had correct views, and most importantly, he was very handsome. "My husband, I am very satisfied."